Hey guys, Anime West Reacts here. It's gonna be a reaction slash whatever you want to call it to Trinity 7 chapters 107 through 112. I think is what I'm gonna do since we caught up once we get to like 112. That's the latest one that's been uploaded. But yeah, 107 title Artifact Memory and Noble Girl. So yeah, going back in the past as we see Luke says already met her half a year before the breakdown phenomenon caused by the Demon Lord occurred. A girl who laughed a lot, and then she's like hanging out with her, walking back with her friends. I guess one says, "Do you have someone you like?" And Hidri says, "Eh." And it says, "That was the impression she gave me. I wonder what was so much fun." And Lieber says, "What is a god's descendant really so intrigued by the life of an ordinary girl?" It says, "Yes, there's something special hidden inside Hidri." Then she's like playing Jenga, it looks like, and she's like, "Oh," I'm like trying not to get it to fall over. She says, "However, it's impossible for you to obtain it." Yeah. And yeah. Something that she's cherished even in her previous life. It's something like a curse, and then the Jenga tower falls over. And then Luke says, "The treasure is a curse." Sorry about my throat. But yeah, then Lieber says, "Blooming love is the greatest curse for a mage." And then, yeah. It says, "From then on, this vessel decided to start observing her," and the translator's note says, "Yes, she does refer to herself in this manner. It's not near." Luke referring to herself as this vessel. So yeah, she's pretty much following her around. You see Hidri walking back with Arta. You see her studying, swimming. You see like Luke in the background, like behind a fence, on top of a tree in the supermarket. When Hidri's by, Hidri's shopping. And Luke has this hat. I like her hat. It's got like cat ears to it. So yeah, you see where it says, "You see, Hidri, today is not a special day, but I'm always grateful to you." So I guess give like a present, which are these hair clips, it looks like, or something. I don't know if they're hair clips or not. It's like some kind of metallic object. Then it says, "Thank you very much. I'll wear it. I'll wear it ardently." And then it says, "Artisan, let's make curry tonight." And then it says, "Oh, then be sure to put lots of meat into it." And she says, "Naturally." And Luke's like, "Such a happy smile. I bet it feels just like a treasure." And Luke is thinking, "Is that love?" She's like thinking. And then it's like nighttime, and then getting attacked by these like magic creatures, and you see, yeah, it was the hairband things. Like Octo and Ilia, or Ilia's fragment, and Hidri fighting these like monsters pretty much and defeating them. And then Luke, when they drop their guard, another one shows up and like attacks them, but Luke comes in and kills it and says, "Good evening." And then Hidri's like, "Huh, good evening, thanks, or thank you very much. You're the one who's been observing us for quite some time, right?" And she says, "This vessel is Luke. We are a treasure hunter who answers directly to Headmaster Lieber." And Hidri says, "I'm Kasuga Hidri." And then Luke says, "Your treasure is without a doubt a Demon Lord candidate." And Hidri's like freaking out, like, "Oh, treasure artisan is I was like, "That's right, he is Hidri's treasured person. We won't get Artis onto you." And then Luke says, "This vessel has no intentions nor need to separate him from you. This QC and whatever. Whenever Lieber speaks, she speaks in an old-fashioned manner. She uses Wada to refer to herself in an Argy to refer to someone else. Yeah. So Hidri says, like, what is Luke San's purpose? And then Luke says, ever since this vessel was born, we have been a mortal god. So you see, like, Luke, what's under her eye patch, I guess. It's like this huge, like, I guess when she, like, lost her eye or something, or can't tell if it's blood or she's, like, burnt. Assume it's blood, though. But it says, we rarely ever had contact with another person. So you see, like, test tube, incubation tube things. Luke sitting in front of one. And Ilias is a mortal god. It was an experiment to use superclass ancient magic on humans to create an artificial god. Peter says god, and then Ilias says the experiments were said to have failed, and the mortal gods were incinerated before they could awaken. And then Luke's like, standing like proudly, I guess, as with this vessel being the only exception. And Peter says, if you truly are a mortal god, you should be able to use mythical armament without any restrictions. How fitting for a treasure hunter. And so, like, so the main question, and I was like, yes, what is it? Can you tell us what your love for the Demon Lord candidate consists of? And he's like, what? Luke says, according to my research, love is the state where you have sexual desire and cravings for the opposite sex. And Hedri's like, I have neither desire nor cravings for him. And it says, afterwards, this vessel recommended her to Headmaster Lieber, and she started assisting me. So yeah, you see, like, Luke and Hedri just kind of fighting monsters, attacking each other, stuff like that. And then on holidays, they would go shopping. So you see, like, Hedri buying Luke clothes, them eating, like, ice cream or crepes and, like, sundaes, I think is what it is. It says, we simply passed our time as ordinary JK or high school students. Yeah, Joshikose, just female high school student. And then we got them, like, standing on top of something, crane or something. And it says, how is it? Are you starting to understand an ordinary life? It says, truthfully, this vessel despises living like an ordinary girl very much. And then Hedri says, isn't it time you tell me your real name? We become Luke San's friends after all. And then Luke just kind of reacts, I guess. And then it says, Hedri, this vessel is greatly honored to have become your friend. Me too. And Hedri says, me too, Luke San. Didn't expect to make such a mischievous friend. And then, yeah, they're both like smiling, and then Luke says, is this what love feels like? And then Hedri is like, looks a bit shocked, and then she just kind of smiles. Says, it might be good if Luke San thinks that it is. And then she says, moo, it's still something else, huh? And Luke says, if you wish to obtain the greatest treasure, the goddess of light Luke will lend you as much strength as needed. And Hedri is like, seems to be like taken aback by that, and then she smiles, says, yes, thank you very much, that makes me very happy. And it starts raining. It says, Luke San, could you please heed my request? From here on, I will have to fight against Artisan, and I'll probably lose. At that time, my soul and consciousness will vanish. And then Luke says, is that so? If so, then this vessel will use her life for your treasure. So yeah, Hedri pretty much knows it's gonna die if she fights Arta, pretty much. So she says, it says, it was really great being your friend, Luke San. And then Luke says, that is my line. Thank you for being my greatest treasure, a friend. And then Lieber just kind of looks silently, kind of sad. He says, alright, let's go to fight the Demon Lord and on our way to kill a god. And Luke is like looking at her, and it says, "Girl known as Hidri Kasuga had a noble smile on her face until the very end." And so yeah, then we got like explanations on stuff. So like, first is Yggdrasil. Infinite worlds are controlled by Yggdrasil, a giant tree that stretches up to heaven. The world where people live reside at the end of the tree, at the ends of the branches and the leaves. The arbiter, who was in charge of managing and controlling Yggdrasil, was the priestess of Yggdrasil, Celestia, who ended up sacrificing her life and soul to steal the gods back during the Great Magic War. Her reincarnations are Hidri and Arin. However, it is believed her reincarnation, who was responsible for the Vainglory archive and the seal, yet became a mage of Era, was due to the plot of a greater mage. Mortal God, it says, mortal gods were biological weapons created during the Great Magic War on a large scale. They were said to have all been abandoned at the end of the war. The creation of them was brought forth by studying the factor of God that was summoned by the great demon lord and fusing it with a human soul. They have the ability to master any mythical armament and master multiple magics. However, the mortal gods then were instructed to never rebel against their arbiter master, and it was made so they could not connect to an archive nor the seal. Okay, so yeah, moving on to chapter 108. Just titled Heartbreak and Educational Policy. So with the rating, we got Sora standing in a room, or standing outside Arch's room, I guess. He's like laying down with Judeki next to him, and she said, "Yo, you're all matching, huh?" So yeah, everybody's in their school uniforms. And Lilith says, "Sora-chan, what is Arta doing?" And then she says, "He's been staring at the sword Hidri, all this time since she vanished." Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's got a sword. And then Mira's like done, or she's like sad, and then Akio like puts her hand on her to comfort her, and Arden says, "I'm a little surprised. We're gonna cheer up husband anyway." And then Sora says, "I decided to talk to you now with us. Master will behave happily as usual. And I guess it's better to leave him alone now." And it says, "To be reunited with Hidri-san, that was the purpose of Arta becoming a mage. Now that it's over, Arta needs some time to calm down." So we got back to the headmaster's office where we got Levi and him. And so Headmaster Biblia says, "Did you fulfill your purpose?" And then Lever says, "So we finally arrived at this road from the infinite future. It was worth the effort to defeat this Trinity and become a true great magic king." Levi says, "I was wondering if you were an ally." And then she says, "That's not bad either." And then she's like, "I also understand why someone like you would stay around here." Or it says, I missed the panel. It says, "I found out that I was a companion, but I have so much fun when I'm near that man." And then, yeah, then she says, "I found out, or I also understand why someone like you would stay around here." And Levi's like, "Is that so?" Like a serious expression says, "Is that so?" It says, "Still, do you intend to act as originally intended, Lever?" And she says, "Naturally, I could not resist my own research. It's sacred of me, and now I can finally reach it." Arta Saga became a true demon king and entered Leviathan, just as I had intended. The incarnation of emotion will be swallowed by Leviathan for the sake of Hydri-san. And Biblia says, Hydri is special Arta, in other words, created by her, Hydri's feelings and memories are sleeping. Isn't it possible for him to trample with what isn't it possible for him to trample with what Hydri has entrusted to him? And then Levi says, Headmaster Lieber seems lonely. And she's like, was it because of that you sent Hydri to Arta from a young age? And then she says, correct, domination of the Demon Lord vessel, it's only natural to take the method of sealing and destroying the strongest and the worst Demon Lord, the return of this Trinity again. So we see like a flashback of like all these, I guess, demonic creatures that have been killed. There's like a mountain of corpses and Lieber and someone next to her. And like I guess the god thing. She's like seen it up close and it looks like crazy grotesque and just black suns everywhere behind it, and then you see that lady. And Lieber says the existence of that goddess is something you shouldn't wake up. And then she's like, well, why doesn't it make sense for my beloved best friend to disappear? And then Luke says, the loss of best friends, I see, then it is about time to go. I'm sorry, but goodbye here. And he laughs, says, well then, be careful, Lieber. It was surprisingly fun to talk to you. And Lieber's like, I've hated you all this time. And it's like, well, I love you, though. And then the door's shut as they leave. Then Levi says, does that kill her? And Biblia says, I was thinking about that possibility, but I don't know. There's a much larger threat than Lieber. And then Levi says, that's no way. And it says, yeah, heavenly arbiter. It's like lightning crashes down somewhere. It's like animals scattering and stuff. It's like lightning has crashed down, and then this girl says, hey Marius, you dropped us in the wrong place. And this Marius girl says, that's not the case. Phonaria, these are the exact coordinates. Okay, Marius and Phonaria. I'm gonna have to remember, I guess. So Marius says, in other words, this is the Biblia Academy. Have you already defeated the great demon king? Marius then says, isn't that the case? This is just a mountain. And she's like, Marius. And she says, if you go straight over there, it's perfect. And says, isn't that a lie? I've never lied to this person since I was born. And she's like, I don't like it. And this is, and then that's just where Lieber went, I guess. And it says, it seems that Lieber has finished the role of not being a child of a god. And so Lieber's like, what did you come to do? She's there with Luke, and then Marius says, reduce the great demon lord who revives the goddess. This is our common understanding. And Phonaria says, that's why I'm going to beat him. Says, now that the great demon lord has already entered Leviathan, all you have to do now is wait for it to self-destruct, right? And then Phonaria like, I thought it'd speed up the process a little. And so it says there is also a plan here. It says it's the same in the end, so it's okay. Here my weapon against the demon lord is Hydri Kasuga, and it says, I entangled the demon lord in the best condition. If you take some time from now on, and this Phonaria says, not really, even if Leva and the great demon lord are destroyed quickly. And then Phonaria says, is it Hydri? Anyway, he's just a mage who doesn't have the blood of a great demon lord born in this blah. Anyway, he's just a mage who doesn't have the blood of a great demon lord born in a world of thieves, disposable like a piece of paper. We, the arbiters, have nothing to worry about. And then Maris, I guess, says, or maybe did you feel emotional about them and the great demon lord? And Luke says, I don't think they will be defeated so easily, and here don't say that your best friend is disposable like a piece of paper. And yeah, Luke like pulls her sword out, and then suddenly there's like this wave of energy, and Luke is like terrified, and she like is looking down at them, and then says, or I guess Fenaria says, a god born in toys will always give us their opinions, and so Lieber's pet animal is not disciplined. And then Luke is like, this vicious magic. No way the great demon lord would be able to. And then Lieber says, Luke, I am sorry, it seems that I have been completely influenced by the mages of Earth. Maybe you're right, you should leave this villainous world and heal in heaven as soon as possible. And Lieber says, I thought so. And then she like puts her foot down, and you see this like huge crater just like formed from where she put her foot down. And Lieber says, do you want to go crazy while being influenced? And so yeah, Luke is like in shock, and so are the other two. Or Maris and Fenaria. They're like, did you go crazy, Lieber? It says, Lieber, headmaster of Royal Lieber Academy. Let's get rid of our anger by making a fool of a mage raised by hand salt. Yeah, weird. And you got like a preview, I guess, of an adult Lieber. Or like a not small Lieber. Nah, not an adult one. But yeah, just a bunch of pages at the end here. But yeah, so moving on to chapter 109. So yeah, chapter 109, Battle of the Extreme Light and Archbishop. So yeah, volume 24, got Fenaria on the cover. It's nice. He's saying Lilith is like color page theme, because it says all the chapters up to 113. So yeah, Lieber and Lug, or yeah, Battle of Extreme Light and Archpriest, I guess. Better way of saying it. So yeah, Fenaria's size is alright. This will be a preparatory action before the Great Demon Lord. And Mara says, please finish within 10 minutes. And Fenaria says, it won't take that much time. Let's get started. And suddenly there's like a huge explosion. And then everyone senses it. So you got Lilith, Selena, and Lise, Akio, and Mira. So pretty much everyone sensed this huge attack, even Anna and Kasha. And Arta, with like all the light gone out of his eyes, is looking over. And he's not really. He's like depressed, I guess, right now. So yeah, Lieber blocks it. Or Lieber and Luke managed to block that attack. It seems like, and She's like, to be honest, I'm aiming to be the second strongest in the world. Despite all that, even this vessel is not able to grasp the true depths of their power, is what Luke is thinking. And Lieber says, it's going to be dangerous now, Luke. And she says, doesn't matter, this must be like, they must be like treasure ships. She got like Akasha like pulling up her sleeve or something, and she's like holding a knife in her mouth. And then she like slits her wrist with her knife. And it says, if you defeat an Arbiter, you can expect a super rare item drop. If you manage to survive, I will give you a treasured item. So she's like Lieber's archive being Gula, says connecting the Gula archive, and then Luke says connecting to the NVIDIA archive. And so yeah, Venarius like, you are connecting to the archives, huh, Lieber? And then Maris says, actually here on Earth, connecting to the archives consumes less magic power than connecting to the clouds. So yeah, then Venarius says, I see, so it's more about endurance than strength, but isn't it meaningless if you're knocked out immediately? Mara says, Lieber is the leader of the Arbiter class Archbishop. Don't underestimate that sly wisdom. Venaria says, if we defeat them quickly, they won't be able to do anything. And then she says, Luke, buy me some time. And Luke says, your request is troubling, but I understand. So she goes out, or tries to go out and fight. And then Venaria says, you'll be the first to not know how you died. And then immediately it looks like Luke's arm is like sliced or like cut off. Yeah, it's just sliced. And then Venaria says, can you see it? No, you can't. Or no, you can't even see the light before it hits you. So you see like Venaria's like finger lights up, and then suddenly Luke has like a cut on her. So she's got one on the arm, one on like her leg now. And so Luke is like, this is tough. She's like, what is that light? What is the shining on her finger? And then she says, when her finger shines, I get injured. And then you see like her eye patch gets sliced, so her eye is sliced again. And she's like, I can't see it at all. There's no choice but to predict. And then Luke says, they don't come one by one. And then you see like two of her fingers light up, and then she gets sliced in two places. Luke is just having to endure it. And then Venaria's like, I'm done with that hand. I'm done with that hand. I didn't think that was possible. And then Maris is like, yes, you can imagine it's possible to avoid it little by little. And then Venaria is like, hey, really amazing. And says, let's try this out. And then she like puts her hand up to her chest, it looks like, and then suddenly all of Luke's like clothes get shredded, and then she's like, light is the true identity of the attack after all. And I feel like I could grasp the timing. I feel like I could grasp the timing. I feel like that. So you see like this light beam shoot out, and then Luke seems to dodge. And she says, however, to be able to dodge them fully in my current condition, if the other party were to at least regret it at least now, or at least regret it now. And you see like Luke's eye have all these runes in it, so that's how it is. It says it's not Luke, it's Maris, whose eye is doing that. And she says you are avoiding injuries to your vitals by using the intuition honed through countless battles. And it's like, isn't it cheating for your partner to teach you? Because yeah, Maris pretty much tells Venaria what she's doing, and then it says, if that's so, then how about this? If I attack 10 times a second, you can't avoid it through intuition, right? So she puts out both her hands, and Luke's like, isn't that cheating? And it says, an arbiter doesn't cheat. I am Venaria, arbiter of light. And then Luke is like, because yeah, it's gonna be a lot tougher, and then you see like these, well, it's depicted as like light arrows that are like shooting out of her fingers. And so Luke is like, I can see them, and you see like all these like lights flying at her. And invisible threads of light. So Luke says, completely invisible threads of light, that's the nature of the attack. And so yeah, she is dodging them, but then her foot seems to get hit, and she's like, as expected already, and then suddenly something like appears in front of her. And then it's like, it says, it seems that my evil god army made it in time. So you got all these like creatures that are crazy looking. And then Luke says, wasn't a prince on a white horse that saved this vessel, but rather lead-in gods, or let-in gods, something like that. Whether it was a prince on a white horse or a let-in ghost, the result would be the same. So leave it to me after Lug and rest. And then Nari's like, whoa, gross. And so yeah, then she says, I might be the first to fight against Liber's evil god army. And then Mara says, please hurry it up. Hurry up, it's already been an hour. And then she's like, hey, you're lying, right? And then Mara says like, I never lied to anyone. Venaria is just like silent, and Libra's like, even if you're an arbiter, my evil god army won't forgive you. And then Libra says, summon Ars Paulina. Then it's like Venaria saying, bleh. Then let's continue playing. And she says, connecting to the cloud of Temperantia, execute Thema. And then, yeah. Luke is like, what? Headmaster's evil god army vanished in an instant. And then Venarius says, an absolute blow from one of the rulers of the gods. Receive the wrath of heaven from the people who rule the heavens. It says Keranos. So like lightning comes like blasting down, and then just it's a wasteland pretty much. And Venari's like, I don't care about preserving magic power, I just have to defeat you with a single attack. Marston says, I would have given it a perfect score if I hadn't been here. And she's Venaria laughs, says it would have been fine after all, no magic can affect Maris. And then Maris says, physical attacks however affect me, so if those threats hit, I would have attacked back, and then so that's referring to receiving a lot of damage. So Luke is like on the ground pretty much going, ugh. It's like, my body doesn't move at all, even if it's Headmaster receiving so much. So yeah, we see what happened to Liber. She's like, got like a part of her side missing, one of her legs is gone, and one of her arms is gone. And she says, greatest defensive attacker then the Arbiters, the Arbiter of Light, Venaria, then how about this? And she's like, I'll apologize to you, will you forgive us then? And he was like, apologize, I'm sorry, but this is where you cry and apologize for insulting Hydri. And suddenly there's like trembling, and then they're like, what? This increase in magic power should be Liber, this is, and then Liber says, it was, as I expected, a large amount of blood poured out of me, and Lug, with this, everything is ready. And then she says, connecting to the cloud of overreading. Something like that. Overeating. Yeah, overeating. It says, execute Thema, and then suddenly there's like a huge blast or something of blood. That's what it looks like. It's like this like geyser of blood or something. It says, Venaria, your words are correct. And then you got Liber, like, as not a little girl, says, but now that I've connected to my cloud, I will bring an end to this immediately. And then Luke is like, Master Lieber got bigger boobs. Then Mara says, this is Lieber's true appearance. And then Venaria says, you're finally becoming serious, Archbishop, Master Lieber of the Arbiters. And Lieber says, in line with my prophecy, I will apologize to you later. Will you avoid this prophecy? And we get number 77, which is Archbishop, explaining what it is. Title given to Master Lieber, a mage of the Demon Lord class and a member of the Heavenly Arbiters. She spent an uncountable amount of time researching, and she arrived at a fragment of the truth after traveling through countless dimensions and various spacetimes. Those that are able to catch a glimpse of the truth are honored and are summoned. Lieber is amongst the oldest arbiters. Has changed her mortal body multiple times. Her title of Archbishop was granted to her after she managed to summon the evil god Army. Her title is not hereditary. Then number 78, explaining the evil god Army, says existences that originate from another dimension who are controlled by Master Lieber, children left behind by the goddesses who are ultra high level dimensional existences that continuously prey upon each other in another world lost in space, who emerged as more powerful life forms. They were born in a world that contains different laws from where humans live, but they are said to be bestowed with benefits from the laws that could change even the world. However, merely touching the enormous amount of information from that dimension, almost all mages will lose consciousness and be feasted on. Okay, so yeah, quite something. Now 110. Instead of going up to 112, since that's the latest chapter. Okay. So yeah, we got Lieber. This chapter is titled "The Battle for Hedri and Goddess's Identity." So yeah, we got the more adult-looking Lieber, is the way I would describe it. And so we got Maris like using her eye, and she just says "ho," and then she's just like, she just kind of like sighs, I guess, or says "fumu," as like she looks over at Venaria, who is like looking at her eagerly, wanting to fight her. Then Lieber says, "Now then, can you overcome this?" And then she says, in the end, what you sent out aren't an issue to me at all. And she like shoots more of her light arrow threads, but yeah, it doesn't seem to do anything. And then she's like, Fue. And Mars is like, I forgot to mention, Lieber's evil god Army possesses a natural immunity to light and thunder abilities, so yeah, use disadvantage. And so yeah, says, say that sooner. And she like immediately jumped on and is getting like licked by all these things, and it's like, how my clothes are. It's going deeper, it's slimy, that's disgusting. And then Lug is like, how unsightly. And Lieber says Lug, and then suddenly you see like all the threads getting cut, I guess. Or she like uses, I guess, the threads to kill all the things attacking her, and it's just like, wow, terrible experience. And then it says light and thunder are completely negated. She directly interfered with my conceptual mechanism. And then she like looks back over at Mars and is like, I forgot this child is here too. And then she's like, I'll stop being negligent. So yeah. And then Lieber gets like hit on the arm. Or gets her arm took off, it looks like. Pretty much. And it says ho, and then it just like reforms. So yeah, Lieber's like, ho, so you switch to purely offensive attacks now, huh? And then yeah, Fenaria's like, I've always been better at this method, so she just like goes on pretty much on the offensive, and it's like, even if you have a fast acting self-healing technique, I just have to injure you faster than you can heal yourself. So you see like all this, I guess, clothes, whatever it is, I want to say it's blood that's all over Lieber, getting like shredded off her. And she says, Moose, strictly speaking, physical attacks are my weakness, so therefore I will rely on another person. So yeah, then you got Lug, and says, Lug with all the bandage things all over her, it says execute program dive. And then Lieber says, it's about time to unseal the seal that was placed upon you by the arbiters. And so yeah, the Lug gets like insanely fast and seems to cut Fenaria, and says, you all disregarded me as a mere plaything, treated me like I was nothing special, right? And then you see like Fenaria got cut. And Mara says, I see you raised that mortal god to reach the level of us arbiters. Lieber says, the operating time is only 10 seconds. And Fenaria is like invisible, but yeah, it's not that she's invisible, it's just that she's moving extremely fast. So it says, but in a super accelerated world, 10 seconds is like an eternity, isn't it? But yeah, Fenaria is like on defense now, because she's just getting cut from like every angle pretty much. And then Fenaria is like, I certainly despised you. Never looked at you like you were a threat. That is a person who gallons the robe of the heavens. That's what an arbiter is. And she says, therefore, in your eyes, I am the greatest. And Fenaria is like cloud of moderation. And then Lieber's like, reconnect. Lieber says reconnect, and then Fenaria is like, what? And then, yeah. Yeah. Lieber says this was Hydri's greatest technique. And then you see her like put her hand up, and then she uses Black Azazel, or Azazel, whichever name it goes by. And then Mara says the technique created by the former Arbiter of Fury and from the demonic heaven Azazel. The anti-heaven kamikaze technique that specifically destroys those that belong to heaven, huh? And then Fenaria's like, how dangerous. I lost out. And then Lieber says, after all, you are still a young arbiter. And Lucas says, Master, this vessel has reached her limits. Like falls over and is like bleeding from her mouth, and says, Lieber says, Emma, you worked hard. And then Fenaria's like, that means we go into round 2, or second round, and then yeah, she coughs up blood too, or she like spits out blood, and then Mars is like, okay, that's enough, because she like hits her on the stomach and she like spits out blood. And then Mars is like, it's our loss, and then Lieber says, Famu. And then Mars says, we'll apologize for calling Hydri a fool and insulting her. Come now, Fenaria, apologize too. And she's like, sorry for making a fool out of someone I don't even know. And Lieber's like, well, in that case, all's fine. And then she goes back to her little mode, or her little form, I guess, and says, I seem to have reached my time limit anyway. So yeah, they were basically at a draw, I guess. And then she says, I fought against you without thinking, but was I perhaps wrong? And then Fenaria says, that's right, but when we're this tired, we can't possibly destroy the great demon lord, right? And Mara says, Lieber, you said that the successor of the great demon lord would bring ruin upon himself. And Lieber says, Lamu. So she says, this. That sword is filled purely with memories of his beloved, and the inner world of Levitine will burn everything, both heaven and demons. If it makes contact with the soul of a world, it will burn for all eternity, unable to be stopped. And then Lieber says, since the beginning, you needn't worry. You can leave the protection of this world to me and the Magus. And then Arta is like in his room, says it seems to be over. That was some incredible magic power. And then Arta's like holding the sword, thinking, was it Hydri's thoughts and memories? The thing Hydri entrusted to me, what she wanted me to fulfill, what was it? So you see like him holding the sword, he closes his eyes, and then you see the tree. And it says Arta. Then it's the girl, and it says Levitain is a world that has reached its end. And then she says, only Arta's soul can venture there. It's a world where magic grimoires and the Trinity 7 couldn't stay in without being burned. Perhaps it will burn for all eternity. And Arta's like, forever, huh? Sounds painful. Because she like comes over and like puts her hand on his back. And he's like got this like smile, but it's like a sorrowful kind of smile, it looks like. When he says sounds painful, that's like the kind of face he has where it's like a pained smile. So yeah, then she says, I've become friends with everyone. I've defeated that old man, the great demon lord. There. Sorry, my computer is. So yeah, he's like thinking pretty much, I've become friends with everyone. I even defeated that old man, the great demon lord, but he's like, why did she leave? So he says, however, Hydri, she left me. I want to understand why she did that. So yeah, sorry. And then he looks over at Celeste, and the girl, her name is Celeste, and he says, or she says, our souls are one now. I'll be with you forever, Arta. And she like hugs him, and he says, is that so? Thanks. Says, is that so? Thanks, Celeste. And then she says, you made up your mind, Arta. And then it says, certain that there is something within Hydri's memories. There must be. I want to grasp her hand once more. And then it says, then let's go, Arta. And he says, everyone, I will definitely come back, so please wait for me. And Arta says, access Levitain. Yeah. And suddenly he's thrown into this world of fire, and then you hear screaming. Or he's screaming because he's on fire. And it says, yes, that's excellent, my precious demon lord. With this, you will now be stuck within the deepest and furthest depths of space together with me. Now let us be together for all eternity. So that was what Celeste wanted. It says, together with this goddess of abysmal darkness. Abysmal darkness. Okay. Conceptual mechanism idea. So number 79, or idea frame. It says, that which is said to be the prototype of all that exists within the Akashic records, the root of every word and every dimension, directly interfering with the conceptual mechanism, is the same as influence the concept itself, something that is considered the most complicated form of ancient magic. Simply stated, it is an attribute interference. If the conceptual mechanism is reached and given the command of fire has no effect, one will temporarily be unaffected by fire. At that instance, the concept of one's own existence will be overwritten. As a result, when it is used by a living human, their very existence is altered, and they often vanish as a result. And number 80, Heavenly Demon Royal Records. or Black Azazel, Azazel, whichever one. Magic created by the Azazel mages of the fallen angel clan. It is regarded as a sacred art amongst sacred arts. In order to wield it, the user must have achieved Trinity. They also require great magic control, an unyielding physical body, and change their form to one that can contain a great amount of power. It directly attacks the target's conceptual mechanism. Even those with high magical resistance can receive fatal wounds. It poses special danger to those possessing a heavenly attribute, meaning the heavenly arbiters and those whose veins contain heavenly blood, one of the Azazel clan's technique of madness. Alright. On to 111. Chapter 111. Says 111, Great Demon Lord Story in Heaven's World. So we have Biblia saying, oh yeah, kind of reacting, and then he puts like hand on his desk, says, so Artakun vanished after all. And Levi says, then I shall go make preparations. And then Biblia says, yes, take care of this situation, girls, or please take care of the situation, girls. And Levi says, as expected, even Headmaster is nervous. And he's like, no, it's just that everything, the hardest part is about to begin. And he says, Levi's like, I feel like I understand. You see like the academy from overhead view pretty much. And so everyone comes bursting into Archer's room because he just suddenly vanished. So it says there's no trace of magic power at all. And then Mira's like, what on earth? Akio's thinking. And then Yui says, Onisan, it feels like he is no longer in this world anymore. No matter what I do, I'm unable to detect any magic power. You got Aaron like looking off, and then it's like, what's going on? Or someone says, what is going on? And then Lise looks over, and Selena says, after the Arbiter claimed that I was special, Hidri-san fought with Arta-san only for him to disappear shortly after. What the hell is going on? And then, yeah, Lise says Selena. And then Sora thinks and says, perhaps he went into the world of Levitain. And then Ilya's like, what do you mean, Sora? And then, yeah. Sora says, didn't Hidri talk about it often? I witnessed Master and the Trinity 7 destroy the world many times. And Ilya says, yes, she did mention it while she was attacking the school. He must have been doing his best to avoid it. Even now, he still tries to. Although Levitain is a completely isolated world of ruin, it's a world that will continually burn for all eternity, bringing more dread and agony than hell. And then Mira's like, Artisan went there to continually burn. And then suddenly there's like a vortex that happens like in the room or something. Like lightning and stuff. And so it's Radix. That. And then she says, safely arrived at Arta Kusaga's room. Good evening. As per Master's orders, I have come to meet everyone. And then everyone's like, Dis-san. And then like, yes. Or Dis says, if my son has indeed headed towards Levitain, I would like to explain the full situation of it to the Trinity 7 and others. Says, President note, Radix Astil is a grimoire and speaks literally what her master said, which is why it sounds whack. So Selena, her yeah, Selena says that, and then Lisa says it seems he already knew Hydri would transform into Levitine and fight against Articuno. And Radix says, that is the current situation Master has called for. I will be informing you of the details. And then Sora says, wait a minute. What's wrong? And says, Radix says, what's wrong, Sora? My coffee. And then Sora says, there's an absolute rule for situations like these on Earth. So, yeah. Sorry. So, yeah, it's just like there's a rule that needs to be followed for explaining these kind of details. So, yeah, we'll see what that is, which is obviously going to the bath. Must take these conversations to the bath, and then, yeah, really is like there's no such rule. And then Akio says, isn't it fine? There's been a lot of depressing things lately. Yui says, that's right. Lately, Yui has also felt a bit tired. Levy shows up, says, I coincidentally came here to listen too. And then Yui's like, whoa, Levy-chan. And then Lisa says, well, I personally want to know more about the Heavenly Arbiters and the Goddess of Abysmal Darkness. And Selena says, yes, I agree, I want to understand those as well. Then Radix says, then let's make it easier to understand by using a picture book. And so there's suddenly this like huge stand with a bunch of pictures in it. And so she says, once upon a time when the great demon lord Sama was a very greedy person. And then it says on the thing, once upon a time was Radix. So we get like a picture book-esque type of deal. She says, after the great demon lord Sama was tossed out to the earth due to being mischievous in heaven, he decided to enact revenge upon heaven. And it says, and so the great demon lord Sama decided to call upon the gods. And it says, the gods were high-ranking, overwhelmingly powerful beings. Even the arbiters in heaven could not defeat the gods. And it says, heaven was in a tough spot. The entire world was in a predicament, and so the 7 mage kings appeared. They called the last crest, or they created the last crest. Eventually, the great demon lord Sama would be sealed within the depths of Dante's Gate, and so the gods returned back to their own dimension. Congratulations. Translator's like, clap, clap, clap. So Radix says, the king of the gods that was summoned by the great demon lord Sama was none other than the goddess of abysmal darkness, Ariane. And she is said to have been sealed somewhere due to the sacrifice of the priestess of Yggdrasil. Arn then says, in the reincarnations of that priestess of Yggdrasil were Hydri and me, and the soul of the great demon lord taking the soul of Arctic Saga tells us that the goddess of abysmal darkness, Ariane, will soon awaken. And so everyone's like, eh? At least Luma's like, eh. Everybody else is shocked. So Radix says, when she fully awakens, in that single moment, every dimension will become one with her. We will be completely consumed by the purest concept of evil. And so we go and see the island. There's like zooming out, I guess, from that island, then up into the heavenly realm, I guess. So we see Fanaria and Maris. And Fanaria says this was only a simple trip to the outside world, and then Maris says Fanaria was turned into a sloppy mess and forcibly returned. And then she's like, don't remind me of that. And then we got the girl we met before, and so it's Ares, I guess is her name. So Fenaria's like, alright, if it isn't Ares. And Maris says, did you come to meet us? And then she like says, yes, eating invitation. Or she like nods. And they're like, of course, however, I still want to take a shower, even if I'm starving. And then it says, join the shower, then I will join you guys too. I guess Maris said that. So we see like kind of their thing. It's a much more, I guess, advanced world, it looks like. So Fenaria is like, Aries, is there anyone you like? And then Aries says, refuse to answer. And then it's like, that behavior, Mara says that behavior and expression affirms it. So they're like in the shower, and then it's Fenaria's thinking, and she's like, Fenaria's like, the person I like, huh? I do not have any interest in men at all. And then Mars is like, you seem very interested in women. And then Fenaria's like, I don't have that kind of hobby. And Aries, I guess, says, I do not envy the closeness of their relationship. And it says, what are you talking about? Aren't they your friends? And someone says, delightful friends. Okay, so, yeah, I guess Aries said that. Mars says, Fenaria and I are not friends. And then she's like, hey, you're lying. And says, I'm a great friend. How is that any different? And then Aries thinks good friends, and then she thinks Elise. And this little thing comes in and says, hey, you there. Or, hey, you three, the arbiters have called an emergency meeting. And then I guess Fenaria says, what's so urgent? And then this little thing says, no, one of the arbiters who has been sent from heaven for a long time, famous judge's maverick, Lord Biblia, has returned. Okay, so that explains that. Huh. So he's back. Or returned, I guess. I guess it's a big deal. So yeah, they're calling a meeting of everyone meeting up. So I guess that would make sense if that's the case then. Like, if all the headmasters are these, like, beings from this heavenly realm, I guess it would make a bit of sense. Or two out of the four of them anyway. Or I can kind of just go with an assumption that they all are. So chapter 112, final chapter, that's been released on like sites anyway. So yeah, the Arbiters and the Demon Lords Beloved, chapter 112. So yeah, Biblia just like came back at the end of the last chapter. Or back to the heavenly realm, I guess. It's a better way of saying it. So he enters this tower and he says, my, it's been a long time. Really? No. Nice to see you. Well, he's like, really? No, nice to see you. And it's like, well, it's nice to see you. And so he's like looking up and there's someone like, or he stands on this like, steps on this block and it starts moving up and there's like a bull symbol on it. Or the Taurus symbol, because the other one has like Libra, it looks like. And so yeah, he's like, I now go by Master Biblia. And says, the Arbiter of Sacrifice, Master Biblia, are attribute of fury. Okay, so we're getting introduced to the Arbiters. It says, welcome back, Lord Biblia. So we got the Arbiter of Decision, Atheria, Akasha. So yeah, Akasha, attribute of pride. Arbiter of Shadow, Harukage Kashi, Arbiter of Greed. And then she says, Biblia-sama, I haven't heard from you in quite some time. So there's just Shadow. And so Light says, Fenaria says, so you're that Biblia. It says, Arbiter of Light, Fenaria Road, attribute of moderation. We've got Maris, the Arbiter of Beauty, Maris Stella, attribute of wisdom. She says, you seem to be having fun as always. The Arbiter of Time the Arbiter of Time, Aries, Caldia, attribute of laziness. Doesn't say anything. So yeah. And then someone says, hi. Or, yeah, now this will become fun. So this is Arbiter of Power, Murakumo Amane, Arbiter, or attribute of fortitude. So yeah, it's like, why have we returned home? And Lever is the attribute of holy, and the arbiter of holy, and the attribute of overeating. And so yeah, I got everyone on these like, or the ones that are here are on these like boxes, and so you see that some of them aren't here. Looks like a couple, anywhere between 3 and 4. So yeah, 1, 2, yeah, 4 aren't here. And so he's like, oh yeah, is she away? So the one that looks like it has Aquarius on it. And so yeah, this lady Kasha says, I haven't seen her in how many years now. She's probably still playing in the outside world. And it says, although it was a long time ago, her letter stated she would be going to demise. And then Murakumo says, that doesn't matter, Bibli and Nissan. Hurry up and introduce those girls to us. Okay. And then, so yeah, one is like, or Fenaria's like got a question mark. Maris's just got her eyes closed. So Bilia says, that's right, the reason I came here today, leaving aside what you guys do. So he like snaps his fingers pretty much. It like seems like something raises. So yeah, he says, leaving aside what you guys do, I have, so yeah, you got Akio, Mira, and Selena. Says, I have brought 3 arbiter candidates. Okay. So yeah, arbiter, those at the pinnacle, and who can connect to the clouds, which represent the 8 cardinal sins, and their 4 cardinal virtues, something on a higher plane, more ancient than the archives based on the 7 deadly sins. So Mira like looks at him and says, we've been spending time near one of these beings without ever realizing. Okay. And then Biblia says, if you do not try to recruit more, then we'll soon run out of heavenly arbiters. And the translator says, Alt, if you do not try to recruit more, we'll soon be lacking heavenly arbiters. And so yeah, Biblia says, especially for the anti-Demon Lord faction, but also for your pro-Demon Lord faction. And so yeah, you see, when he says anti-Demon Lord, you see Kasha, and this is the Kasha lady, and Fenaria. Then he says your pro-Demon Lord faction, and you see Ares and one of the new characters. And then Lever starts like snickering. And it says, this is very vexing. We certainly do not have enough, and I'm certainly glad that the judges Maverick and Archbishop Lord Lever have returned. It says, meanwhile, I'm really glad that from the bottom of my heart for the introductions. And Fenaria is like kind of surprised she said that, and then she like looks pissed off as she's like looking at him and says, certainly a lack of talented individuals, but do you think Atheria-sama would convey her gratitude to someone from the outside world? And then it says, Fenaria is still a danger after all, is what Maris is thinking, I guess. And it says, she's trying to touch the cloud of where that dragon lives. And then Biblia says, well, with that logic, I don't want Harukage-chan to get angry with me, so please do well after this, okay? And Mira's like, yes. And Harukage is just like waving at them as like the thing drops and says, Headmaster is treated like this after all. And so Mira's like, but what exactly is the relationship between those two? And so it says, then this meeting has counseled or concluded, and it says, hero candidate, my daughter has requested I train you, so follow me. It's like, okay, so yeah, Libra's mom. Or not Libra's mom, but Akasha's mom. And it's like, the Master Akasha in your world is my daughter. Okay. So yeah, everyone's like splitting up, I guess. So you got Aries with Selena, or Aries and Murakuma with Selena and Akio, and then she keeps like glancing back at her. And then Akio's like, Selena, is something wrong? And Selena's like, no, it's just we've only met them once before. Akio's like, I came here to find a clue regarding Nichan's disappearance, but how should I be conducting myself now? So Murakuma was like, yeah, I'm glad you came. And Akio's like, well, thanks. However, I currently have no intention of becoming an arbiter. And then Murakuma says, Libra Nason, the arbiter of overeating, wants to retire. Akio's like, that's right, apparently I'm a successor candidate. And Murakuma says, all I care about is fighting against a strong opponent. As a matter of fact, I'm very excited for the revival of the goddess so that she can fight her. It says, translator note, she uses Boku, which almost exclusively used by men, so yeah, it's a very like masculine way of speaking, I guess. Akio's like, my, what a battle-hungry girl you are, and then Murakumo's like, that's why I would be happiest if you got stronger and became an arbiter. And then Selena like looks displeased, and then she opens her eyes, and then suddenly Aries has disappeared. And then she's like beside her all of a sudden. It's like distracted attention, and Selena's like, hiya. And she's like, that. And then Aries like, breathe deeply, and then Selena's like, yeah. It's like, breathe in, breathe out type of deal. And Aries says, to say it once again, I am one of the arbiters, Aries Caldia. Nice to meet you, Selena Sherlock. And then, so yeah, Murakuma says the same, and Arbiter Murakuma Mane, pleased to meet you, Akio Fudo. So yeah, they're two, I guess, respective people. And Akio's like, I know it's a sudden request since we just met, but could you tell us the current situation? Aries says, currently two out of the 5 phases until the resurrection of the goddess of abysmal darkness have already passed. That fast. So yeah, both of them are shocked, and then Aries like brings over the like orb, or she like creates it out of what looks like darkness or shadows, I guess, since I think she was shadow. So she says, according to my calculations, there are 3 phases before dimensional collapse remaining. So phase 2, we see our just burning. And this is phase 5 as she like moves her hand, and it says, goddess of abyssal darkness, Arion. After the resurrection of the goddess, every dimension, all of space and time, and every world will fuse and assimilate with her. Only those mages stand a chance, but they will ultimately be defeated, becoming demon lord puppets of the goddess. And so Selena says fuse and assimilate, and then Akio says demon lord puppets of the goddess, huh? And then yeah, Murakuma says the goddesses are completely different and higher dimensional concepts from the looks of it. In order to continue existing, we must become one with all of space, time, and space. That's the reason why her mere existence is throwing the world into turmoil. And then Selena's like, such a thing, how are we going to deal with that? And Aries says, in the future I have predicted, it's the future I have predicted and the only outcome, other dimensional witch. If you become the arbiter of melancholy and your sister obtained vainglory, it should be possible for you to recalculate the future and make a better decision then. And then Selena's like, then Oni-chan and I can help Aries-san, and then Akio like puts her fist to her hand and says, it isn't good to only let the calculating team do the brunt of the work. It's a team effort, no. And then Murakuma's like, that's right, therefore you must become stronger alongside me. So we got Akio and Selena and Murakuma, and everyone pretty much looking like all happy, and then Aries kind of looks up and says, but as of late, the Libra Nason, the arbiter of overeating, wants to retire. So yeah, Selena's like, such a thing, how are we going to deal with that? And Aries says, in the future I have predicted and the only outcome, other dimensional witch. If you become the arbiter of melancholy and your sister obtained vainglory, it should be possible for you to recalculate the future and make a better decision then. And then Selena's like, then then Oni-chan and I can help Aries-san, and then Akio like puts her fist to her hand and says, it isn't good to only let the calculating team do the brunt of the work. It's a team effort, no. And then Murakuma's like, that's right, therefore you must become stronger alongside me. So we got Akio and Selena and Murakuma, and everyone pretty much looking like all happy, and then Aries kind of looks up and says, or she like uncertain factors require confirmation. 1 in 1 trillion probability. Where are the fragments and miracles? So yeah, there's like unpredictable things that are going on too. So you got. Then we go back to Lise, or Lilith, not Lise. She's like studying it. Looks like heavenly arbiters, goddess of abysmal darkness, artist disappearance, and then Lise, or Lilith, I keep trying to call her Lise, says, "What am I supposed to do?" And someone knocks on the door, and in comes dear old dad Abyss Trinity saying, "Ah, my beloved daughter, it's not good to stay up until midnight." And he's like, "Oh, well, it's important to drink this hot, sweet milk your father made too. It helps you rest. Helps with resting." And then Lil's like, "What is it that has you so worried?" Says, "That's, well, I have not cared for you like a parent should their child. It would have been better for me if you had this attitude when we first met." And he's like, "Gah." And she says, "Regardless, thank you very much. I think I've calmed down a little now." And so she drinks the tea, and she's like, or the milk, or whichever it was, and so it's warm and tastes sweet. And then he like picks up the tray, I guess, and says, asks her what, or Abyss asks her what she's investigating. Says, "So what are you investigating? The arbiters, the goddess, or maybe Kohai?" And she just says, "Yes, just what can I do? How are Arta and everyone else to be how can Arta and everyone else be protected?" And then Abyss like goes quiet, and then he says, "Let me see. I don't know if this is a hint, but let me tell you a story of a person who was once an arbiter, but now a mere human who researched to find a way to kill gods." And Lilith's like, "Such a person," and then says, "Person's name is Arliss Azazel. She's your mother." Okay, so learning more about her mom now. So yeah, we've known about her father, but now we're going to learn about her mother, I guess. So yeah, pretty good chapters overall. Hope y'all enjoyed this reaction. If you did, it was a long one. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the reactions. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment on the video, subscribe for more anime reaction reviews and manga reviews. Check out the links down below to my Twitter, Twitch, and Discord. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. So yeah, later.